are watching Cade Cunningham make his arrival right before our eyes. Another crazy performance against Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns. We'll discuss how well Cade Cunningham has been playing and what this means for the Pistons in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. We are now 900 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. That is our goal by the end of this season. So if you haven't already, please head over there, hit that subscribe button. We got to hit our goal by the end of the season. Also, leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here. Also, go Lions, J-Mo, Waymo, who can guard them, you feel me? But it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Again, like I said, go Lions. I am recording this on Sunday. That Lions game was tremendous. J-Mo continues to be a monster. Get him involved. Playmaker, you feel me? But this isn't Locked On Lions. This is Locked On Pistons. Also, got to let you guys know as well, head over to LockedOnDaily.com, type in your email, and you'll get a Locked On Pistons daily newsletter along with your Locked On Pistons daily podcast. So in today's episode, I want to talk about the Pistons might be getting forced into making decisions that maybe they don't really want to make. And we'll discuss what that means later. And then also I want to talk about this West Coast trip and how big this could be for their season. But you know where we're starting, man. Cade Cunningham is going off. Cade is having, by far, obviously, the best season of his career. That's obvious. He's playing the best he's ever played at any other moment of his career. And he's been having, along with his improved play, he's been having these, like, key games. He's been having, like, these vintage games that when this season ends, you're going to be able to say, yeah, Cade improved his play a ton this year, but you remember this game, or do you remember this game against this game, or against this team? Do you remember when he played in Madison Square Garden? Like, he's starting to stock up these games this year where these are, like, memorable games for him. And he just had another one against the Phoenix Suns where I won't say he outplayed KD, because KD is a freak of nature, and he had 43 points, okay? I won't say he outplayed KD. KD did have 8 turnovers, though. I didn't see people killing him like they killed Cade. But if he didn't outplay KD, he just met him. He met him and played at the same level as him. In the fourth quarter, they both had 13 points, where people have said that Cade has to improve. He showed up and showed out. The Detroit Pistons, obviously, I should have included this. They beat the Phoenix Suns this past weekend, 133-125, in a game that they came out blazing hot in the first quarter. Jaden Ivey had maybe the best quarter of his career in the first quarter. The Suns fought all the way back, cut this lead to, I think the Pistons were up by like over 20 at one point. And then the Suns ended up cutting it to 4 points, 3 points in the fourth quarter. And Cade Cunningham showed up and showed out against Kevin Durant, who KD, like I said, had 13 points in this quarter. He was trying to get the Phoenix Suns back into this game, trying to help them win this game. And Cade, if it wasn't for Cade showing up and meeting him every step of the way, the Pistons do lose this game. But in that quarter, Cade had 13 points. He shot 3 of 5 from the field, hit 1 of 2 from deep, and he got to the free throw line 8 times. God has answered my prayers. I cannot believe I just said that. Cade got to the free throw line 8 times. He got to the free throw line 9 times in this game. If Cade can get to the free throw line, if he's going to get to the free throw line, you're not going to stop him. That is the part of his game that is desperately needed. Turning those looks at the rim into free throw attempts, getting easy buckets at the line. If he gets those, if he starts getting a foul call, starting in the respect of the refs with his shots at the rim and start turning those into free throws, that changes everything for him. That will be what takes him to that very, very top level. And this game, he got those 8 free throws in this fourth quarter. Absolutely fantastic. Before I talk about how well he's played over the last 10, 11, 12 games, I have to just say this. His shot making in the fourth quarter was just chef's kiss. Was fantastic. a tween step back over Kevin Durant, bang, set the Pistons up by 6, I believe, put them back up by 6. And then at the end of the game with around 50 seconds left, a dagger 3 in KD's mouth, bang. Just absolutely fantastic shot making from Cade. By the way, I do have to correct myself. That step back 3 happened at the end of the third quarter. The dagger 3 did end up happening in the fourth quarter, at the end of the quarter. But his shot making in this game was absolutely fantastic. You're witnessing Cade take this next step, man. You're watching him become that legit star in the NBA. And after this game against Phoenix, these are the type of games that get you noticed nationally. Because all I'm seeing is a bunch of Cade talk now. I'm seeing Cade talk on shows. I'm seeing Cade talk nationally. I'm seeing Cade talk NBA Twitter. I'm seeing a bunch of Cade Cunningham YouTube videos. Like, I'm seeing a bunch of people talk about Cade now because you have moments like this. At the end of the day, moments like this is what's going to get people to start talking about you. Was he already playing great before this game? Yeah, but this is one of those moments that you make your day, you make your hay, and people start talking about you. And he had it, and he was absolutely fantastic in this game against the Phoenix Suns. Went band for band with KD. And KD, I told you guys before, there's players across the NBA, I can tell you guys this for certain, that have massive amount of respect for Cade, just all throughout the NBA. Whether the fans or other people have thought highly of Cade over the last few years, I've told you guys routinely that players across the NBA think very highly of him. There's a lot of players across the NBA, a lot of stars across the NBA that are cool with Cade and think very highly of him. So maybe, in the future, maybe that ends up helping the Pistons, you feel me? But KD, after this game against Cade, he said, "That's my brother, got nothing but love for Cade. He's always been ahead of his time, just wise behind his years as a young player in this league. He can do it all. A 6'7" point guard, averaging 10 assists this year or close to it. I think this year is his year to be an all-star and take off and go to that next level. It's always a joy to play against him." So, I completely agree with KD. First of all, getting love from KD like that after a game is big time. That's one. 2, go vote Cade into the All-Star game because KD is right. This should be the year that Cade easily makes the All-Star game. He should easily make this All-Star game. It shouldn't even be a doubt. Let me tell you guys what Cade's averaging over the last 11-ish games of the year. Actually, let's just talk about what he's averaging on the year first when you talk about his All-Star appearance. 24 points, nearly 10 assists a game, 9.7 assists per game, 7.1 rebounds, nearly 46% from the field, nearly 39% from deep, 78% from the free throw line. That needs to keep going back up. Cade, you've always been like a high 80s free throw shooter. What's going on, man? You get back there, that would easily get you 25 points per game. But nonetheless, 78 free throw percentage. He's now at 55 true shooting percentage, continues to work that all the way up. But over the last 11 games for the Detroit Pistons, Cade is averaging 25.1 points, 11.1 assists, 7.0 rebounds, 48% from the field, 43% from deep on 7 attempts a game. He's actually getting to the free throw line 5 times a night during this stretch, which is not fantastic, but it's definitely better. He's only shooting 75% on those, which, again, Cade, look, me and you got to have a talk, man. That can't keep happening. But playing absolutely at an absurd level over the last 10-ish games. And really over the whole year, but has taken it even up another level over the last 11 games. And over this stretch, over the last 11 games, he's also hovering around a 60 true shooting percentage, 59 true shooting percentage for the Detroit Pistons. So, been really efficient. And one of the things I really liked about this game against the Suns too is that he didn't start out great. He started out, I believe, 2 of 6, and turned his night around and played fantastic in the fourth quarter when the Pistons needed him. So he had a fantastic night, absolutely fantastic night for the Detroit Pistons. He needs to be an All-Star this year. Send him to the All-Star game. I don't see how he's not an All-Star this year. And honestly, I saw some people talk about this. Soon, and this is great, soon the talk isn't going to be about is he an All-Star. Soon it's going to be about is he All-NBA. Next year, I think that's what's going to end up happening. Probably won't happen this year because the Pistons won't win enough games. It's not going to happen. That's going to be held against them. But if he continues to play this way, continues to exceed expectations, continue to improve his game like I think he will continue to do, next year it will be All-NBA talk. And won't be All-Star. It'll be, is he an All-NBA player? And this is the player that I've seen when the Pistons drafted him first overall pick. This is why they drafted him at the first overall pick. This is who you were drafting. This is your franchise player. And him playing at this level, him playing like this, should make everything else easier for Trajan. Should make everything else easier. Before we move on, I do want to say this. The biggest aspect of Cade's game that I think has taken such another leap, his playmaking is going to, I think there's only maybe one player in the NBA playmaking at level as him, and it's Trey. If you want to say Trey's doing a better job than him, sure, go ahead. I think that's the only player. Cade is dissecting defenses. If you're watching the games, it's not coming from flashy passes outside of like no looks for lobs and transition to Asar. It's not coming from flashy no-look passes behind the back stuff. None of that. It's just every time in the pick and roll, just picking teams apart. If you help down at the nail, I'm hitting the wing every time until you stop doing it. If you don't do it, then I'm hitting my shot. If you're helping down from the weak side corner, I'm skipping this corner pass every single time. If you're not doing it, I'm throwing a lob every time to Jalen Durant. If you're trapping me in the pick and roll, either one, I'm hitting on the roll guy immediately, setting us up for a 4-and-3, or I'm going to hold for just a minute, get the tag defender to happen, then I'm going to make a cross-court skip pass with 2 defenders on me. In transition, I'm going to push, I'm going to get the ball ahead quickly to my wing shooters as they run, and get an easy three-point look. In transition, if I see Asar Thompson on the floor, I'm holding the defenders with my eyes because I know he's running, and I'm throwing it up to him without having to look over there because I know he's going to be there. Everything about Cade's game, he's just piecing it all together, and his playmaking is reaching truly like top of the league, one of the best in the league heights. It's like you're watching a magician on the court. He's just completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he has complete control of the game, it feels like, at all times. It's like he's getting the shot that the Detroit Pistons want every single time, whether it's a shot for himself, whether it's a shot for the team, or someone else. It seems like the Pistons are getting the shot that they want almost every time when he has the ball in his hands. So, Cade's been fantastic, man. Along with the shooting improvement that we've talked about in the last episode, continue to do that on high volume. This dude is taking that step, everybody, and he's an all-star. Go vote him into the all-star game. But let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. How do you guys feel about Cade Cunningham's game so far this season? Do you think he's going to be an all-star? Where do you think is the height? Where is the ceiling for Cade? Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. When we come back, the Detroit Pistons might get forced into doing some things that maybe they don't want to do. They may get forced into having some conversations that they don't necessarily want to have. We'll talk about what I mean there when we come back. Missing someone this holiday season and want them to be part of your festivities from afar? Do your loved ones live far away but wish they could live close to you? We've got the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frame is a touchscreen digital photo frame for your whole family that they also all will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. It's so easy to use. Setup takes less than 60 seconds. It also has seamless sharing. Invite friends and family to easily share photos via the Skylight mobile app or email. Add new photos straight from your phone from anywhere. It only takes a tap on your phone to send new photos to a frame across the country. It's the fastest, easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop, and they'll feel so much more connected to you. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/NBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. There's another great way to support the podcast. Give me just one moment, guys. It's getting hot in here. Let me take a drink of water real quick. Tell me if you guys disagree. That ice water hits different than any other drink possible. Not any pop, not any juice, Not no, Gatorade or anything like that. That ice water, it just hit different, bro. That ice water does things that nothing else can do. You get a nice cold thing of ice water is crazy. All right, so the Pistons currently find themselves as the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference. They have won 12 games this year. They're 12-17. They very well might reach their win total for last year before January, which is, on one hand, a pretty big deal, and on the other hand, a pretty sad indictment of how bad last year was. So, whichever way you want to look at it. But they currently sit 10th in the Eastern Conference. And I think any other year, you would just sit here and say, I would love to just sit here and say, push for wins. They might actually make the play-in. Let's try to get into the playoffs. Let's try to get a play-in win. Let's try and make it as the 8th seed, the 7th seed, and maybe get a not first round series win, but maybe a playoff win. Like all that stuff. Push in, stay in this group. Win as many games as you possibly can. Like that idea. Like I'd love for that to be all that's talked about. However, I don't think that's all that needs to be talked about. And honestly, we will see when the trade deadline comes around. We'll get our answer. But I think there's a very, 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 very high chance that Trajan Langdon probably did not plan for them to be in the play-in and probably does not want them to be in the play-in this year. And if they are around the trade deadline in the play-in or a 9th seed or heck, even 8th seed, if they find themselves in that group, they will be faced with a decision and they're going to have to choose which way they want to go. The reason why I'm bringing all this up, we mentioned this on the podcast a few days ago. If you've been listening to the podcast for a few years, you should already know this kind of thing, have a rough idea at least of this. If you're a Pistons fan, you should have a rough idea of this. But a few years ago in the 2020 draft, Troy Weaver, former Detroit Pistons general manager, traded away their first-round pick, but it was heavily protected for the following, 6-7 years. He made it very heavily protected. And that was in the deal to get Isaiah Stewart. Now, that deal ended up becoming some huge deal by the time the opening of the season started. But, I don't need to talk about all the pieces of it. That doesn't matter. It was in that draft night deal to get Isaiah Stewart. And that pick has been traded around to multiple places. That's not really the big deal here. What the point is that I've said last year, and I said 2 years ago, that it was very clear to see what Troy Weaver's plan was for this team if you just looked at the lottery protections on this pick he traded away. You saw when he wanted to be good and when he did not want to be good. So, for example, this past year, he wasn't expecting to be good. This past year. Don't care what letter they wrote to the fans last year. He did not expect to be good this past year. He maybe thought about being good this year. But at the very realistic earliest, I thought 2026 was when he really wanted to make that push. Troy was. Because you can tell by the lottery protections on this pick. The lottery protections in 2026 is 1 through 11, the Pistons keep it. After that, it goes to whoever owns their pick. So I'm going a little further out into the future than I need to right now. The purpose of this conversation is that this year, in a stacked draft that everyone loves, that obviously has Cooper Flagg at the top, but a lot of people love a ton of prospects in this draft. I've heard nothing but great things about this draft class, going all the way down to maybe 12 prospects. I haven't done much draft stuff. You guys know I don't do draft stuff until the offseason. I don't really like college basketball, so I wait till then. But from what I've read and the people I talk to that do draft stuff, this is a great draft class. The Pistons own their pick 1 through 13. If it lands 14 to 30, it goes to Minnesota, who currently owns the pick. I do not think Trajan wants to lose that pick. I don't think he wants to yet. I think he wants to have a first full off season of scouting without having to worry about a coach, without having to worry about, his whole staff. I think he wants to have his first real off season and have a pick in the stacked draft to add moving forward. I do not think he wants to lose that pick. 1 through 13 is basically the entire lottery except one pick. So the Pistons, let's say, if they were the best team to not make the playoffs, they'd lose this pick. They will lose this pick. So even if they make the play-in, let's say they made the play-in as the 9th seed and lost in the play-in. If they were the best team to not make the playoffs, they're going to lose this pick and go to Minnesota. If they get to the play-in, win the games, and make the playoffs, this pick will go to Minnesota. So they are going to be faced with a decision, I think, this year that I don't think he was necessarily expecting to have to make the decision. I thought, and again, maybe he was already planning to make the decision. Maybe he was already planning on trading some guys for win-now players. Maybe he was already planning on selling guys for value at the deadline. I don't know. I would just say, based on how he constructed this roster and based off of the lottery protections, everything pointed towards he would like to keep this pick. Also, when you take into account how great this draft is. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you look at the East, there's a very real chance the Pistons won't have a choice with this. Like, it won't be, like, unless the Pistons flat out just start losing on purpose, which obviously they won't, they may not have the choice. You got all these injuries happening across the East. The Wizards, obviously the bottom of the East. You got the Raptors dealing with Scotty Barnes in and out. They're at 7 wins. They're probably going to stay down below. Charlotte dealing with injuries all the time, as usual. And even with LaMelo in the lineup, he's been great, but they've only won 7 games, and they are going to stay probably down below there. Philly has been dealing with injuries all year and probably will continue to deal with injuries the rest of the year with Paul George, with Joel Embiid, and then Paul George again, then Joel Embiid. Also, Paul George may also be washed at this point with how badly he's playing. So, Philly may honestly stay low. This may be the year where Philly's like, you know what, it's over with. Like, this could be the year we're seeing from Philly. With all the injuries happening, they could stay low as well. Brooklyn, they're trying to get off their picks, or off their players. They're right behind the Pistons at the 11th seed. They're trying to move off Cam Johnson. They're trying to move off of DFS. They're trying to move off these players and build towards the future. They don't want to be high in the Eastern Conference in this draft. They don't want to miss out on a Cooper Flagg or one of these top players in the draft this year. They've been trying to trade these players the last few weeks. That's all the rumors have been about. And I guarantee you they probably will in the next 2 weeks move off some of these players immediately so they keep their pick high. So that's Brooklyn. You don't got to worry about coming up and taking over the Pistons at the 10th seed. Okay, so if we're saying all those teams below the Pistons, the Nets, the Sixers, the Hornets, the Raptors, the Wizards, if we're saying all those teams are not going to leapfrog the Pistons, the one that I maybe could see doing it is Philly. If they somehow get all healthy and no one gets hurt and Paul George turns back the clock and again, no one gets hurt, which again is, it's like asking to fly at this point, but maybe they could jump them. But out of those 5 teams, only one really, and I think it's a real chance at this point with how well Cade's playing, with how well the vets are playing, with Jane Ivey improving, with Ron Holland improving, with Asar Thompson back and improving. There's a real chance I don't know if any of those teams behind them are going to leapfrog them. That's the first problem. The second problem is the Bulls at 13 and 16, they're another team that's trying to get off these players because they don't want to be good. They don't want to be good this year for this draft. They're trying to rebuild. I even saw that they're considering moving off of Kobe White. So I don't expect, there's only one team maybe that could jump them from the back, but I don't think any of those 5 teams I'm predicting to do it just because of where they're at in their rebuilds. I don't think any of them want to be good. I don't think any of those teams behind the Pistons, besides the Sixers, want to be good. So I don't think they're going to be making pressing moves to leapfrog the Pistons. So just because of that, they'll stay behind. Same thing for the Bulls. I don't think the Bulls want to be good. They're trying to trade Levine, Vucevic. They might even trade Kobe. So they don't want to be good. So I think eventually they will fall behind the Pistons because they're just going to tank at some point soon and just get off their players. At that case, that's 6 teams now. And the Pistons will be hovering around 9th seed then at that point, 10th or 9th seed. And then who knows, do they catch up with the Hawks? Could they play well enough to where they catch up with the Pacers? Like, they're only 1 game behind the 6th-seeded Heat, and they just beat the Heat. And the Heat might be moving off their players for moving off Jimmy Butler. So, basically, and then also the injuries happening in the East. Obviously, we talk about Philly, but also Orlando have lost Mo Wagner, they've lost Franz, and they've lost Paolo. So, injuries, how bad the East is, how teams in the East are purposely wanting to tank and lose to get a top pick in this upcoming draft, and the Pistons are the only team, I would say, in the 7 to 15 range. There are in between this, we don't really want to tank because we've been tanking for long enough, but we also don't really want to be that great, so we're kind of stuck in the middle. They're the only team that's like that. These other teams are clear. We want to be bad. We want to move back. Get in front of us. So the Pistons might be forced into this position where, we're in the play-in. Like, this is where we're at. And when you are at that position, at the trade deadline, Trajan's going to be faced with a decision. I think he's going to be forced to make a decision. It's going to be either we hold on to these guys and maybe make a move to help us move even higher into the conference. Maybe even make a move that doesn't have to take us to top 6, top 7, but I'm speaking as Trajan here, but takes us maybe into a position where we do win out the play-in. We get a player that can help us make it as actually the 8th seed, and maybe we get into the playoffs for real and maybe win a game. Or you get to that point, you're at the 10th seed, 9th seed, maybe even 8th seed, and you're sitting there saying to yourself, man, I really wasn't expecting us to be this good this year. I really am not trying for us. I really do not want to lose this pick. We really want this pick. I love the improvements Cade's made, but I really don't want to lose this pick. And he could also very well be thinking, I think this is definitely playing into this decision as well. I don't know if I really want to extend Durant or Ivy, maybe one of them. We don't know where but I don't think he wants to extend both of them this offseason. So then it's like, okay, we really don't want to lose this pick. Do I really want to keep going with this season, lose the pick, and then also be faced with the decision to extend one of these guys? It's going to be a very interesting time over the next month and a half. I think the Pistons, because of the other Eastern Conference teams, how bad they are and the decisions they're making to tank, the Pistons are now just going to have to choose which way they want to go. Doing nothing. I mean, I guess doing nothing is fine. But I guess doing nothing, I would rather not do anything or not do nothing. Because doing nothing could probably just get you into a point where you lose the pick and you just lose out in the play-in. Or, you finished 9th and now you're the best team that didn't make the playoffs and now you lose your pick and you didn't make a move and now you're just like, okay, well, what was all this for? So I feel like the Pistons got to make a decision. They're going to have to make a decision soon over the next, not immediately, but over the next month or so, they're going to be faced with this decision that they have to make. So if you guys are Trajan Langdon, with everything we just detailed, everything I just said to you guys, what do you guys do? Think long-term, think short-term, but also, again, think long-term about team building. What do you think is best for Trajan to do with this team? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, I do want to talk about this West Coast road trip, which could help with this decision either way and could say some big things about this season and this team, this young core moving forward. Today's episode is sponsored by Built Rewards. If you're a renter, listen up. This is a total game changer. Thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with serious perks and it's completely free to join. Earn valuable Built points on your rent and everyday spending at no extra cost. Redeem points towards flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments. With over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels in their program, the possibilities are endless. Access unique experiences that are exclusive to Built members. I love using the points for travel. My wife loves traveling, and Built makes it so easy to turn those travel trips or the rent every month into rewards. If you're already paying rent, my thing is, why not already make it work for you as well? Start earning points on rent you've already been paying by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA, and make sure you use our link so they know that we sent you. Don't wait and start earning rewards today at joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Now I've got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, our long-term sponsor, one of my favorite sponsors, FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here again. Like I said, go Lions, but it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown. I love going ahead and betting the over. I've been lately on Cade Cunningham's assist, how many points each team will score, the over on again, the combination of a team scoring. I've been looking at the spreads. The line spreads has been really kind to me. All kinds of things you can do over there on FanDuel. I've been doing all of it as recently as today. I've been using it for a few years now. Super easy to use, super self-explanatory, but most importantly, super fun to use. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review. on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, so like we talked about in the last segment, I think how they perform on this West Coast road trip could contribute to the decision that they end up making. And I thought this road trip was going to be really rough for the Pistons. It very well may still be very rough for the Detroit Pistons. But after beating the Suns, you do have to feel a little better about them on this road trip now. You have to be feeling a little bit better about them, at least a little bit, even despite the fact that they lost to the Utah Jazz on Thursday, which again is one of those losses that you just can't have. Even after beating the Suns, the Piston players were still talking about that loss to Utah. Cade spoke about how it left a bad taste in their mouth. They really were mad about how that game went, that they let that one slip away. They gave up that type of game. So they wanted to come out against Phoenix and really get this one. And they did. They got that win. It would have been great to get the win with Utah because then it really stacks up. That would feel great. But now you just basically, made up for one, not really stacked one. You get what I'm saying. So, but still, you beat Phoenix on the first day of your West road trip. The next 3 games the Detroit Pistons play will all be on the road in the West. You got the Los Angeles Lakers tomorrow, or whenever you guys are listening to this, probably tonight. It's on Monday night. Against the Lakers at 10:30, which is really late. Not looking forward to that. Then you got the Kings on Thursday at 10 p.m., and then you got the Nuggets on Saturday at 9 p.m. So you got the Lakers, Kings, and the Nuggets. The Kings, actually, let me retract a little bit. Looking ahead at this West Coast road trip, you were saying, oh my God, this is going to be really rough. Don't know how they're going to make it out of this one. This one could really be bad for the Pistons. But now that the road trip's actually here and you beat the Suns, the Pistons might be getting these guys at the perfect time to really get some wins here. The Suns were without Devin Booker. That hurt. The Lakers are reeling a bit. There's been a lot of, I won't say drama, but a lot of talk with the Lakers about what's wrong with the Lakers. Why aren't they winning? LeBron was gone for a while. Now he's back, but he was gone for a while. A lot of chemistry stuff, a lot of trade rumors. The Lakers aren't playing their best. Might get them at the right time. The Kings, they're really not playing their best. De'Aaron Fox is in trade rumors. DeMar DeRozan has been terrible over the last 5 games. You might be getting them at their best, or at their worst, but the best time for the Pistons. So you might be getting them at the best time. And then the Nuggets are trying to trade for Zach LaVine because they have been really struggling compared to their expectations. And Jokic is having a great year, yes, but his team just hasn't really been that great. And again, there's been a lot of players in trade rumors just involving them over the last week and a half or so. So each one of these teams, you might be catching them at the right time if you're the Pistons. I'm not saying they're going to go 4-0 on this West Coast road trip. Not saying that. But could they go 3-1? Could this be one of those times over the next week and a half you really have people feeling this Pistons team's really good, man. They're really making this leap. They're really making this step forward. They might really make the playoffs. Oh no, they're going to have to make a decision quickly. Could that be happening? It could. You're catching these teams at the right time. And then right after this road trip, if the Pistons play well in this road trip, if they were to go 3-1, one, obviously that means you caught these teams at the right time. But two, it obviously also means the Pistons are playing really well at this time. So if they're playing really well right after the road trip, you're following that up with the Magic at home on New Year's without Franz, without Paolo, and without Mo Wagner as well. So you might be catching them at the right time. Then you got the Hornets who are also reeling, might be catching them at the right time. Minnesota right after that, you might be catching them at the right time. Every day it seems like there's a new interview from Anthony Edwards cursing out the entire team. You might be catching them at the right time. Then you got the Trailblazers and the Nets. So really, over the next, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, over the next 8 games. Really over the next 10 games. Because the only game there of a team that's, I wouldn't say is reeling or in a bad position is the Warriors. And you could even make the decision the Warriors are as well. But over the next 10 games, all of these teams aren't really playing their best basketball. None of these teams I just named, the Lakers, the Kings, the Nuggets, the Magic, the Hornets, the Timberwolves, the Trailblazers, the Nets, the Warriors, the Raptors. None of these teams over the next 10 games are playing their best basketball. So the Pistons might be coming in at the right time against these teams, and this is why the road trip's so important. If they play well on the road trip and they go 3-1, I think they can. If they go 3-1, their spirits are high. Guys are obviously going to have to be playing really well, and they will be feeling like they can beat anybody. Combine that with how those teams are playing at that time, this next 10-game stretch could be huge for the Detroit Pistons, and it all starts with how well they play on this road trip. They started off with the win. Got one against Phoenix. They just need 2 more. If they get 2 more wins on this West Coast road trip, they really could be sizing themselves up really well to move up these standings. Really well. I think they could be, this next 10 games could really prove to be good if you're one of the people that want the Pistons to make the play-in or make the playoffs. The next 10 games are big time, starting with this road trip. They have to play well. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. How do you guys think the Pistons will play during this road trip? Do you think they'll be able to go 3-1? And do you think they'll take advantage over the next 10 games of this season and really take this next step into the standings? Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Please hit that subscribe button at the YouTube channel. We are 900 subscribers away from our year-end goal of 10,000 subscribers. We can get there. I just need you guys to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Go Lions. Waymo, JMO, you feel me? Go Lions. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Till next time, peace out.